Welcome here inside the Alico building, the 21st floor, Waco, Texas. I'm Pete Sousa. It is the Pete Sousa Show. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, let's go up a little higher there, right? Happy to be here today. We got Scotty Swingler on the wheels of steel, and Cam Stewart was just in here. You can tell it's like a rat's nest. But it's a great Saturday or great Friday. Not quite Saturday yet. A great Friday morning. I was up early. I'm coming straight over here from a call in the Big 12 cross-country championships. It was at Cottonwood Creek Golf Course. And I'll tell you, I'm happy to have it behind me in a sense where that's the first time I've ever called. I've done a lot. I guess I've done a bunch of Olympic sports, but I've never done cross country. And I was like very nervous because more so because of all the different names. But you know, preparation can take care of that. And I had a great partner, this guy, John Nouns, who ran at Iowa State. The BYU, I'll just give you a quick report. BYU men's and women's swept. The women's team won and the men's team won. And this one girl for West Virginia, Kaylee McCabe, she was a runner for Canada in Paris at the Olympics. She finished first, like going away. And there was one, I thought I had my big moment. There was a moment where these two runners, the course went left and they kept going straight. I didn't think I had any kind of moment, but like, that was my like wide world of sports. Like I was like, oh, look at this, but they corrected and came back quickly. I was like, is there anything to that? To the analyst, he was like, nah, not really. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love the Big 12 for giving me opportunities like that, and you love all that stuff is like just like breaking down like certain walls. I was like, man, it's been hanging over me for like all week. I've been like very nervous about doing it, but. Yeah, it went great. And once it starts, it's so easy because I know how to do broadcast, but it's just kind of like it's just like anything in life you've never done before. I was like, how is this going to look? How is it going to go? But yeah, it went really good. At least I think until I hear differently. But yeah, it felt really good. Feels good to be here today. Big Saturday coming up tomorrow with college football. Big Saturday here in Central Texas. We had a bunch of the guys up here. Was that yesterday? It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Richard Reese, Sidney Fugar, a couple other players. I mean, this is, and they are, it seems to me, just we've been very fortunate to literally Sawyer Robertson was up here. Richard Reese was up here. And they all seem like Josh Cameron earlier in the week too. They all seem like they're on the same page. They really seem like Richard Reese told us something yesterday I thought was so cool because we talk about Baylor and we talk about faith, and that's part of the deal. And he says he just feels his team coming together. It's interesting, like, with the team winning, like they're up here now doing more like interviews with GXG. Like it's easier for these guys to win 2 games and then come out and start doing interviews. And it's also easier for them to just be out and about. Like Richard Reese said, he was at church earlier this week and he saw 2 of his teammates there who he'd never seen there before. And he thought to himself, like, wow, like this is kind of like, this is maybe going in the right direction. We're all kind of vibing here and we're all sort of being moved by the same big stuff, whether it's faith, whether it's winning, whether it's being a good teammate. But something is building at Baylor, and something will be on full display Saturday night. And that's the best part about sports and live events is that we don't have to wait long. Like it's Baylor is a 3-point favorite, and we're going to get into all the odds this week and all in bets with Corey Dickman. That's going to be our last segment. After this segment, great conversation coming up with Texas Hall of Famer, a Texas Sports Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, Jody Conrad. And then we'll follow that up with my chat with Corey and some of the best picks that you'll ever get for free. We do this for free, Scotty. Is that amazing?
It is.
We give away these picks for free.
What are we doing?
I don't know what we are doing. You and I were talking a little bit about some of your memories from TCU Baylor earlier games.
Yeah.
Earlier games, I should say, like earlier. I guess it was it's last decade now, but 2013, 2014, that team's coming back to be honored. So that 2013, 2014 team played in Floyd Casey. Is that right?
2013 was the final season of Floyd Casey. 2014, first year in McLean. So you can imagine you close the old building with the championship and you crown the new building with the championship.
Yeah, and that was the 2014 team was the team that almost went to the playoff.
Yeah.
It was them and TCU.
It's a sore spot for both schools. Yeah.
Yeah, they both got left out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Who got in instead?
Ohio State, who ended up winning the thing.
So when being around here at that point in time, what was the feeling like looking back on that decision?
It was unbelievable. I mean, now it's a given, but that was the first year of the CFP, and the selection committee thing was brand new, right? And so what was so weird is Baylor had dropped a game on the road at West Virginia, and that was the one loss on the season going into that game against TCU. So TCU was ranked higher than Baylor the whole way, and then Baylor beats TCU, and yet for every subsequent week after that, TCU stayed above Baylor in the selection committee's rankings, and everybody in Waco was like head to head, right? The Big 12 did not have a championship game that year, so both teams finished with one loss. And then what was so odd is when they released the final CFP rankings, they flipped Baylor and TCU. So Baylor was 5th and TCU was 6th. So it's almost like, okay, so now you rank us above TCU at the end of the whole thing, but neither of us get in the playoff. And both schools felt, felt disrespected through that. And the committee says, man, we really could have used that extra data point of a championship game, right? Which would have just been a rematch.
Yep.
Which just fed that Baylor feeling of like, well, we won. Like we played them and we won. Put us in, right?
Was the feeling that Ohio State got in on name recognition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. I mean, put those three schools, it's not close, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm stunned how Ohio State is ranked number 4 right now, and Indiana is still outside of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you flip the names on the jerseys, I think it would be different.
How was trunk or treat last night?
Oh, it was great.
It was?
Yeah. MCC, shout out. They had all their sports teams and like some student organizations are out giving out candy, and it was packed, bro.
Really?
Yo, kids from all over.
And you just go to a parking lot, or
it's just on campus at MCC. It was a good time.
I would imagine like that's becoming more and more common with kids.
Oh, they're
and their
everywhere.
Parents. Yeah,
they're everywhere. So I came out of church world, right? So like tons of churches. That's been a church thing for a long time. But yeah, now MCC does it. A lot of businesses even I think maybe start doing it. Like,
so as someone who's close to the church and grew up close to the church, you're still good with Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling Cam this on his show. My mom is a very, very sweet Southern Baptist lady. And so she wasn't so against stuff that, I mean, we did Halloween, we got dressed up, we went trick-or-treating, but she wasn't so like Halloween movies or horror movies. Like that was not really part of my childhood, but we got dressed up and we went trick-or-treating. Yeah.
Trick-or-treating is the best. I didn't have any trick-or-treaters last night. Maybe that's because my reputation precedes me. But I would have, I mean, if one person came and knocked at the door, I promise I have sweets. I would have delivered, but no bueno last night, which was fine with me. One thing I'm looking forward to, and this is like shooting ahead, but I got to talk about it, is it coming up? We are now 2 weeks away. Okay, 14 days, November 15th, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul from American Airlines in Dallas. Oh no, I think it's from Jerry World. I think it's going to be at AT&T. It is. Mike Tyson right now looks like the Incredible Hulk on Instagram. He just posted something today, and it gives the idea that like, wow, this is going to be quite the event, right? I mean, look, and that's what boxing has been for so long. You have the purists, and you have folks who are going to say, well, Jake Paul's not a fighter. This isn't real boxing. But look, from a promotional standpoint, this is not hard to get behind. What do you got, Scotty?
Oh, I was just looking up the Instagram photo you were talking about. I was trying to see if I could throw it up here, but
So
I don't know
can
that
you
I give me a second.
give it a shot? I mean, see if you can. We can test some stuff out.
I don't have an Instagram right now, so it's trying to get me to log in.
That's good that you don't have an Instagram.
Let me work for a second.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Nobody should have an Instagram.
Give me 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mike Tyson has said that Jake Paul is a dangerous opponent, but he says he's going to beat him. And I think Mike Tyson is going to kick his ass. I think that Mike Tyson views this as a bit of a legacy, a date with destiny, because not only does he get to remind people of just how dangerous he was, but this is totally doable. He's not going in the fight. He's not fighting a boxer. He's fighting Jake Paul. And trust me, I'm the ultimate sucker. About 2 years, I think it came out 2 years ago now. But the Jake Paul documentary was on Netflix. I soaked the whole thing up. I watched it. I got to give the guy major props. There was some stuff from his childhood that were sort of weird, right? Like I feel like him and his brother, there was a point in time where they were just putting negative energy out there. And so that was no good, but I think he's grown up a little bit. It seems like he's pretty accountable. And if you want to get a little tail of the tape, Mike Tyson, 5'10", Jake Paul 6'2". Mike Tyson weighs 220, Jake Paul 205. Tyson's record is 50-6 as a pro boxer. Jake Paul is 9-1. Mike Tyson, 31 years his senior. So that's sort of scary. If there's one thing that could defeat Mike Tyson, I don't think it's Jake Paul. I think it's Father Time. And I really cannot wait to see. One of the things that I'm looking forward to most is the pomp and circumstance that comes with something like this. I think that there will be an electricity in that venue for that fight. And I don't think it's anything anyone's going to miss. And you can watch it free on Netflix. Scotty,
I got that Instagram photo.
Can you put it up? Wow. I mean, there you go. This is a dude who is all business right now. Forget about the fact that he's the baddest man on the planet. Maybe not anymore, but certainly has it in his DNA still. And it looks like he's in better shape in that fight right there, or getting ready for this fight right there, than he was for, I'm sure, more than a handful in his prime.
How long has it been since he fought?
Well, he had an exhibition against Roy Jones a couple years ago, but that wasn't anywhere near like a real fight. And then I think his last fight, I think he lost to this guy, Kevin McBride. No, Dan, let me see. Yeah, his last fight, I feel like it was like 2006. The last fight that Tyson had where I was like, oh, like I was hanging on to like a Mike Tyson comeback.
Yeah.
He got his ass kicked. And it was like very clear that it was over for him. But by the way, how old do you think he is? Don't look anything up. This is crazy.
I don't even know.
He was
I don't
that
even
old.
know where to start guessing. I'm going to say he's 65.
He's 58.
Okay.
65.
Dude, I was born right at that funny time where I do not remember watching Tyson fight. But I wish I did. I actually learned who Mike Tyson was because when I was a kid, I was born in 1992.
Yeah.
And when I was like 2 and 3 years old, even, my dad had an old Nintendo Entertainment System from college.
Yeah.
And we played the heck out of Mike Tyson's
Punch Out. Yeah.
Yeah. All the time.
Man, so did I. So I used to love that.
So as a kid, if you asked me about Mike Tyson, I wouldn't have told you about a fighter. I would have told you about the video game character.
All right. The end of his career was more like a bad movie, not even a video game. It's funny how you remember stuff. So I basically said the funny actor, Danny McBride, as the last person he fought, but it was actually Kevin McBride. And the person he fought before that, the fighter, was Danny Williams. He lost both of those fights. And they were about a year apart. He beat Clifford Etne. I remember that. He beat him in 49 seconds. It was the first fight he had after the tattoo, after he got the face tattoo, and it was pretty exciting. I remember I was watching that with my parents. That was like one of my last. No, I wasn't quite done drinking and partying yet, but I was close. So, and then before that, okay, the fight where I felt like we had a shot because I was a Tyson guy my whole life. He came back to fighting. He lost to Holyfield twice, right? The ear biting incident was the one that was in 97, June 28th, 97. And then he came back and he fought Francois Botha. He was away from the ring for like 2 years because he couldn't get licensed. And he beat Francois Botha. Then Julius Francis, a TKO, Lou Savarese, I remember that at TKO. And knocked out Lennox Lewis. He lost to Lennox Lewis. And that was in 2002, June 8th, 2002. It was at the Pyramid in Memphis because that was one of the only places he could get sanctioned to fight. And Lewis really beat the shit out of him. It was the fight, I think, lasted, I think it was 8 rounds. And it was not even, I mean, it was not a good look. Tyson got beat pretty bad. And he ended up getting knocked out. I think it was like a TKO. But I look, I'm here for it. I got to say, will you watch that?
Yeah, I will try to find someone to watch it with. So my generation, it was all, Mayweather, Pacquiao. That's we grew up watching. I bet on them when I was working in the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
We'd all go watch the fights. I have a question for you. Do you think this fight will draw more views than when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
Because that's probably the biggest one I remember of everyone watched that fight just because the crossover was so fascinating and they were so different.
I think that there's a whole wave of people like my generation and older that whether they care to admit it or not, Mike Tyson still means a lot to them. And if they can watch it for free and it's on Netflix right away, again, there's an association with Netflix that there's a connective tissue there. You turn your TV on, you hit Netflix. Okay. I can
that's a great point.
If I'm 60 years old, I can manage that. Right? Like I'm not doing pay-per-view. And I think that it's right there. It's accessible. And I think that we're going to see the appeal that Mike Tyson has. And I mean, Jake Paul, come on. You really have.
He's a star. I mean, yeah.
Oh, he's a superstar. So if you've really got pop culture covered for like the last 50, 60 years.
Right.
I mean,
I think what's hard to measure though is like with the pay-per-view.
Let's say 40 years.
With the pay-per-view, like I went to a party where there was like 30 of us around a massive TV in a house watching, right? And we bought, one guy, we split it, right? And we're like, you go to the restaurants that you pay the $5 cover at the door and you get to see the fight. Like I wonder how
those numbers get skewed.
Yeah, well, I'm like, are restaurants gonna? I mean, I'm sure they are, but like, are they gonna have Netflix up? And
I guarantee, yeah, I guarantee.
It's just interesting the way
and let's make so the 15th, and that's a Friday, correct? Yeah, let me just make sure.
Yeah, because today's the 1st.
Yeah, so that's smart because you're not going toe to toe with big time college football. You're going toe to toe with some college football games
or NFL.
Yeah, no, or NFL. You're right. And let's see, like the 15th on a Friday, you might not even Texas high school playoffs. I don't think, not yet at least. Maybe they start, but
I don't think the whole country is worried about Texas high school playoffs starting.
That's a great point, Scotty. Yeah. All right, we're coming back with the Hall of Famer Jody Conrad waiting in the wings. An amazing personality and amazing contributions to the women's game. We get into it all on the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
All is right with the basketball world. God's gift to the game of basketball, the Boston Celtics, are back in the NBA Finals, baby. I don't think the Mavs did anything special. They played well enough to win and win pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought the Celtics didn't show up to play at all, and maybe if they showed some fight in the second half, they would have lost by 15 or so. Is he in the Red Sox Team Hall of Fame?
He is also in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Something about this guy being in the Team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did.
So,
deserved, man.
Which seems like it fit.
Sports.
We are back here in the Alico building, the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network, brought to you by Slovacics. Also, Crawford Austin Properties. Can't forget our good friends at Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Socorro Family Ford, and D1. All right, we're going to pass it on over now to my conversation with Jody Conrad. It was really cool to talk to her. I've known, as a kid growing up in Philadelphia, women's basketball really started to come into my life in the mid-'80s when the sport became pretty popular, and she was at the forefront of that movement. So very familiar with Jody Conrad. Had a chance to talk to her in conjunction with our Texas Sports Hall of Fame podcast. Got to share this with you. This was just yesterday. Coach Jody Conrad, it's rare that we're able to welcome someone who has just been such a trailblazer for such a major sport, but that has been your role with women's basketball, particularly women's college basketball in Texas. It's hard to not bump into someone who's played basketball in the state of Texas that hasn't gone through one of your basketball camps or been inspired by you as you've coached over the years. What does it mean to you? Does it even seem real to have the reputation you have around Texas basketball?
Well, I would say that I never dreamed that I would have the opportunities that I've had through the sport of basketball. I grew up in this state, and so I have a great deal of pride about the state of Texas, and I'm very proud of the fact that this has always been a state that has provided opportunities for young women and girls, even at the high school and junior high level, to get involved in the great sport of basketball.
It's really cool now to see how there's a big spotlight being shined on women's basketball, women's college basketball. But I mean, in the 80s, you were bringing in 7,500 fans to your games. Governor Ann Richards was there. I mean, it was a who's who of college basketball crowds. What did that mean to you at the time where you saw, hey, something's happening here?
Well, I never dreamed that I would have, again, the opportunity to be a part of a great university that valued women's basketball and women's sports in general. It was a very magical time when people started to realize that young women were really, really talented and really committed and really dedicated and so involved in wanting to be a part of a team. And those teams were really special in terms of attracting crowds and really showcasing women's athletics and women's basketball.
As far as the schematic changes, you were one of the first coaches to really bring out, you'll probably give credit to others, but the full court press was a big part of your success, especially in '86 when you won the championship. Do you consider yourself an innovator?
It's sort of an interesting story. The first Texas team was a very short team. We didn't have size, but we also had a lot of quickness and some very athletic players. And it was twofold. I think the game should be fun. And I think the game is really fun when you play at a fast pace. You look to take quick shots. You try to create more offense through your defense. So that was a part of it. And the other idea was that we needed to attract attention. And we didn't think that people were going to want to see women play keep away. So if we run up and down, if we elevate our athleticism, if we play great team basketball with tremendous effort and energy, then we have a chance to make people understand and appreciate the level of play and the commitment that those players had to be a successful team. So it worked in our favor both ways. It was fun for the athletes, and ultimately our fans started to appreciate the defense. Again, not to just play defense, but to play defense to gain possession of the ball so that you could run down and score. So it was a fun time. I got the idea actually from a paper that I saw advertised by Dean Smith. And for $5, I think I sent in an order for his run and jump defense. And that became the basis of what we built on at the University of Texas.
That is amazing. That is, I've never heard that. So you, when we talk about sports, a lot of folks talk about, hey, what do you miss the most? Well, I miss the locker room. I miss the camaraderie with the girls or the guys or the women or the men. For you, that is an indication of just the family that becomes college basketball teams, whatever your sport is, especially though college hoops where there's a tight knit group. Do you look back and say, wow, like I have this extended family everywhere all over the country now? Because a lot of these women, I'd say like 99%, you sat in their living room, recruited them, talked to their parents, and then you saw them off to bigger and better things.
I think you described it perfectly. I grew up playing basketball, and the value and the excitement and the thrill that I felt of being a part of a team. Being able to do something that you could only dream about as an individual, that motivated me. And it, I think, also was an opportunity to practice some lifelong skills. And then that became my real motivation to become a coach, to get involved at the collegiate level, to have that opportunity to be extended. For most girls at that point in time, you felt like your career was over when you graduated from high school. So to open the doors to not only an opportunity for a world-class education, to extend your playing career and to showcase that and to have that experience longer was a big part of the motivation. And you're right, there is a special connection between players and hopefully coaches. I think back now on, we have an annual X's Day, and those players come together and they might not have seen each other in years, but they immediately relive that connection. It's like they've never been apart. And that now has become my very special day of the year when those X's come back, and not just for my relationship with them, but to see the relationships that they maintain with the teammates over decades in terms of what they experienced on the floor and in the locker room.
Now you're a Texas woman. You went to Baylor. Obviously, most, if not all, your career was spent having great success out of the state of Texas. When someone with that pedigree gets inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, what kind of honor is that?
Being in the Texas Hall of Fame is the honor that I probably value the most, because I am a Texan. I've never left this state. There is a special pride about being in the state of Texas that I'm sure many people appreciate and also recognize. So to be recognized in your home state is a very special honor, and one that is always meaningful as I reflect on the time when I was inducted, and to see the growth of the Texas Hall of Fame. Every year I feel tremendous pride to see wow, I have something in common with those athletes or those coaches or those contributors. And it's not just their accomplishments and the stats and the things that they have established in the career. It's the fact that I feel a camaraderie and a closeness because they have their roots in the state of Texas as well.
In your roots, you have specific roots in Central Texas, right? You're from Goldthwaite. You taught at Midway High School in Waco after you finished up at Baylor. So I have to imagine there's a pretty cool connection you have with the city of Waco and the Texas Sports Hall of Fame being based there. That had to be cool, that induction.
The induction was really special, and you're right. I spent a lot of time in Central Texas and in the Waco area. I did go to Baylor. I did have an opportunity early on to know that there were so many great athletes and dignitaries that grew up in that part of the state and that they were recognized there. So I have to say that the induction itself has changed dramatically over time. And the visibility and the credibility of that organization now is at the top of the list. So I know that it's the result of a lot of people working hard to make it what it is. But I also know that it is just a testament to how much athletics in this state is important, how many people participate, and how many people really find joy in being a part of the athletic scene in the state of Texas.
You really led me into my next question. You mentioned that word joy. When did you discover, and it could have been very early in your life, that getting joy out of this sport was actually going to be the thing that completes you, right? Because you can win all the titles in the world. I'm actually in the middle of Vern Lundquist's book, and he talks about Tom Landry and Tom Landry's faith, and that it deepened after he had great success with the Cowboys because he didn't feel as fulfilled. He still felt kind of empty. Was there a point in your career where you discovered, okay, the joy, right? The fulfillment, that's got to come, and that the winning will come right with it?
You know, even growing up, the experience I had, it was unique as we look back on it now, but it really wasn't. It was what was happening in a lot of small towns in the state of Texas. You grew up as a child wanting to be a part of your team, and everything was centered around the school, and everybody in the community supported. So it was the highlight of what was happening in Goldthwaite, Texas. And that inspired me later on to want other young girls and young women to have that same opportunity because it was unique and it was something that influenced my life. And yes, as you move forward, coaching is a winning business. There's no question about it. And championships and success is a part of it, the good part of it. But yes, as I've moved away from coaching, and I've been away from coaching for years now, it becomes less about the winning and the losing. It becomes more about the relationships and more about, I want to be remembered as one of many, many people that helped to provide opportunities for young women. So those things, I think, now occupy my memories at a different level than the individual games, the wins, the losses, the things that happened over the course of my career.
Okay, last question. You got you're in all the Hall of Fames. You got all the trophies. You're, an incredibly decorated coach. So when young coaches turn to you and ask you, hey, what can I do to be successful? Is there one common thread that comes through with that you tell them?
Maybe not a piece of advice other than it's a very up and down kind of business, and the ups are high and the lows are low. And it's in a lot of ways very difficult. It involves 24/7. It involves no days off. It involves making a lot of sacrifices to really be good in the coaching profession. So I usually say, I make the analogy, it's like choosing a life partner. If you can live without them, don't do it. And I sort of feel the same way about coaching. If you feel like you can be happy not involved in coaching or not involved in athletics, then don't do it. But if it is your passion and you know that is the thing that makes you professionally happiest, then go for it. Throw all of your energies and your efforts into it and live in the moment. I think a lot of times coaches start thinking about, well, at the end of the season, this is going to happen. Nothing happens in the future unless there's been a commitment on a daily basis to think about that goal and try to do something to achieve it. So live in the moment, enjoy the ups, suffer through the downs, but remember that this is your passion. This is what you do, even if you weren't being paid for it. And I can tell you that in some of those early years, I almost wasn't paid for it. But I never felt like it was a job. I always felt like it was something I had to do to express my passion and my happiness as being a part of a team.
Coach Conrad, I cannot thank you enough for the time. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for what you do to support and showcase women's sports, women's basketball, and all the great people that make up the Texas Sports Hall of Fame.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I really appreciate it.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
You are here with your shoot first point guard, Corey Dickman.
Also, if you're not creating new fans in a small market, then you're not creating that base of people to go to games and pay for merchandise and pay for stuff and concessions at the Moda Center and yada yada.
Yeah, let's talk draft. That's the only thing we have to look forward to.
The only thing we have to look forward to.
That's what I will teach my son. You will teach your daughter as Blazers fans. It's like, look, the two most exciting times of the year for us are the draft lottery and the draft itself. Like, here we are. This is our thing. Give me some memories and thoughts. I know you had mentioned kind of the first time you had met Bill. What were some of those first memories that came back when you heard the news?
In Bets is back. Corey Dickman.
Woo!
Joining us again after
Ric Flair in the house. Woo!
Woo! All right, let's talk about last week.
You want to talk about last week?
Yeah, we are here, by the way, to make you guys some money. College football.
Make the dinero.
NFL.
Pete,
Yeah.
you know it's a bad week when we don't go undefeated. The expectations are through the roof now, wouldn't you say, for college football? I mean, there was a clip of you about a month ago telling me we shouldn't even do this anymore.
All right, so let's get into it.
Okay, so we went 2-1. We did lose a game. I am human. We'll talk about the two wins real quick.
Please.
USC minus 13.5. I think they ended up winning by 21 against our Rutgers team that lost the week before that to
Corey,
UCLA.
you get your teeth into some of these guys.
And
some of these schools.
Hey, Pete, I can't wait. I'll put some wagers on Rutgers basketball. That'll be fun with Ace Bailey. That will be
They're
fun.
a sleeping giant.
They are sleeping giant. But anyway, USC covers the spread. Thank you, Trojans. And then Miami. Now, was it a slaughter of Florida State? No. But did they cover the 20.5?
Yes.
Absolutely. Cam Ward. Do you think Cam Ward, where will he go to impact an NFL team next year? Who's going to draft Cam Ward?
Maybe the Patriots.
The Patriots?
No, not the Patriots.
Oh man, I was like,
maybe the Raiders.
The Raiders. I could see Cam Ward as a Raider.
Yeah, I could see Cam Ward. I could see him falling apart as a Raider. But let's.
You know where I want him to go? I want him to go to my Seahawks. I want the Seahawks to draft up.
Yeah,
trade up to get Cam Ward, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, Seattle's dangerous because they're like 500 now, and it's just kind of one of those things. Like, let's just bottom out.
The Geno experiment, it didn't work. The year we would have bottomed out, we would have ended up drafting Bryce Young, so it probably worked out. All right, Pete, we did lose one game. Notre Dame traveled to Navy.
Yeah, dude, thanks a lot. I lost that game too.
You know what though? I have an excuse.
$100.
Okay, Scotty, play the clip. Look at this.
The pitch is errant. The ball is loose. Recovered by the Irish. Don Schuler runs it down inside the 10. Navy came in having not committed a turnover in their last 5 games and having not lost a fumble. Changes a couple of years ago that really cut down on blocks.
Oh my God.
Another lost fumble. Horvath just put it on the ground.
Weird
and
little
the
fumble
Irish
there.
recover.
So, okay, 2 turnovers is fine. Oh, no, Pete, it's a punt. Don't touch it. Oh, my gosh.
Another Navy mistake.
Third
This one by Isaiah
turnover.
Bryant.
You know, look at that guy's running around looking like
Irish believe they have it. It's right in
Second
front of
quarter,
their
10 minutes left in
sideline.
the second quarter, 21 to
Bryant
7.
would have been better off just getting away from
What's
that.
going on? We were about to get the ball back.
Spinning, nose up kick.
Muff punt. Okay,
Hard to
3
catch
turnovers. We can come back from
3rd and
that, right?
5
3
Navy,
turnovers.
under 4.5 to go third quarter.
Oh, not on the goal line. Oh, my God.
Stripped of the ball, recovered by Notre Dame for a
Turnover.
touchdown
At this
by
point, look at
Jalen
this score,
Sneed.
38-14. I may have been watching this game on the very sad. Oh, no. Look, we're in the red zone, Pete.
4th down
We're
and
in the red
7
zone.
now.
Let's
Blitz off
oh,
the
no.
right side of
Oh, my
Horvath,
gosh.
and an interception.
How did that even happen?
Picked off in the back of the end zone by
Turnover.
Leonard Moore.
Five turnovers.
Played
Pete. Oh, my God.
nearby the old stadium for the
Oh,
Giants.
Six
And, almost another problem. There is a problem on the punt. This time it's Heidenreich.
Turnovers. This is a huge game. This probably was the biggest game
Earlier,
Navy
Isaiah
has
Bryant muffed a
played
punt, which
in
Notre Dame
25
recovered.
It
He
had
also trouble with a kick.
No,
so
the
they gave him the
opportunity was
hook. They
there.
put
The
Heidenreich back there. and now
playoff.
he's lost it.
Opportunity was there. Pete, 6 turnovers. We would have covered this game. 6 turnovers is obscene.
Well, it is. And here's your point. To your point, the mistakes, like shooting yourself in the foot. Like, I get it. There's going to be a couple picks or whatever. You're playing Notre Dame, but like, yeah, that was lame,
Dude.
Like just like the muff exchanges and stuff.
Yeah, 2 muff punts. That's not Notre Dame special teams doing anything special there. It's just muff punts. So does it go in the loss column? Yes. We got to take our lumps, but I'm telling you, the public here, people, if you're betting along with us, don't be mad at me. That was unfortunate. We should have hit that.
Corey, you got to have accountability.
Overall, I guess. Overall, Pete, we're doing really well in college. We're 11-7 overall, and that's with that 0-3 start.
Yeah.
So really, we've been cruising here. 11. What is that? 11-4 in the last 4 weeks. So we're riding high on college. We'll give you our college picks here in a sec.
All right, NFL.
Let's talk NFL. The Super Bowl favorite, Cleveland Browns now with Jameis Winston. Aren't they the favorite to win? They go in.
Unwavering faith.
They go in. We had the over on that game. Jameis comes in. We knew they'd score points. It was a little shaky, but we got there. Over 44.5. Not like perfect. That was great. We did miss on the over Bears at Commanders. Jaden Daniels did play, which is great. It really was Caleb Williams' fault. The Bears had like 0 points going in the fourth quarter. That was not expected.
No.
And it wasn't even close. Even with the Hail Mary at the end, we did not get close to the 43.5. So I'll take that as a loss. But Pete, you know what the good news was?
What?
You kept a roof over your head because the mortgage paid. This was a cakewalk mortgage. The Detroit Lions -7 is what we needed. They won by what? 40?
Yeah,
30.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you could have bought a new house with with the alt line there if we had adjusted. And then the Steelers -2. They just had to basically go in and beat the lonely Giants, and they did that, Pete, on Monday Night Football, or was it Sunday? Monday night?
No, Monday night.
You paid the mortgage. We're 3-1 on the mortgage this season, so you're paying your mortgage. Overall, we're still down. We're 7-10 on NFL games. But we're making our way up, Pete, because we've gone, 2-1 the last 2 weeks?
We have.
So
I feel good about the NFL. We're trending.
All right, let's get it going this week.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, I'll mention my NBA picks at the end of the show.
Yeah, the accountability bets.
All right. So we're starting in college, as we should. Pete, the Louisville Cardinals. Are you familiar?
Very familiar.
Very familiar. You know how many losses they have this year?
How many?
3.
Oh, really?
I'll go through them with you real quick. Louisville lost to Notre Dame by how many?
I don't know.
7.
Okay.
Then Louisville the next week lost to SMU by how many?
I don't know.
7. And then they played Miami 2 weeks ago and lost by how many?
7.
7. You know what the spread is this week against Clemson?
I do know, 10.5.
10.5. Lock it in, baby. If Louisville is going to lose, they're going to lose by 7. Give me the 10.5. 10.5 is always a great spread.
Yeah.
Louisville could go and just win this game anyway. I don't know. I think Clemson might be a little
It's
fraudulent.
going to be high scoring, too.
It's going to be high scoring. You could go with the over there, too. What's the over, Pete? You have it pulled up there?
62.
62. That probably is very obtainable.
Yeah.
But give me Louisville plus 10.5.
62.5.
62.5. Travel into Clemson. It doesn't matter if they play in Death Valley, if they play wherever they play. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Give me Louisville plus 10.5.
All
Then guess what?
What? We're staying in the ACC?
No, we're going to the Big 12.
Okay.
And the last time we picked this team, it was a terrible Hail Mary. And you know what I'm going to say? It's my Baylor Bears. And I've stayed away
This
since
is close
then.
to home.
We should throw that into the college picks we have. That should have been a win. Like, that was ridiculous. Baylor minus 3.5. It's a rivalry game against TCU. You're shifting in your chair.
Well, to me, this is a stay away, but I want to hear what you got.
I want Baylor. There's hype. They're bringing back the old teams. Eddie Lackey's on the Obstructed View podcast with Matt Mosley. There's hype around this game, Pete. Baylor's on a 2-game winning streak. And you know, when we make a big deal about a 2-game winning streak, you know it's been a while. 3.5.
But I do feel like the Pistons are pumping and they're moving in the right
They are.
direction.
The Pistons are pumping. But Sawyer Robinson may have a really cool interview dropping here pretty soon. Rogue Media Network. You mentioned it last time, a couple days ago. 3.5 is a weird spread. I hate 3.5. Baylor wins this by 7. They're going to cover the spread and beat TCU on Saturday here in Waco, Texas.
Okay, next one.
No, you don't like it.
I personally have become very invested in Baylor.
Sure.
And I try to stay like impartial if I call a game, but I just really pull for Baylor. So I don't want to get my heart broken in 2 ways.
I'm going to get my heart broken, but I'm going with them. So let's go BU. Come on, BU.
Right.
And then, Pete, how did you not know we were going to go here?
Where?
How did you not know? Do you know who travels to Nebraska this week in a Big Ten matchup?
Rutgers or UCLA?
UCLA. Yet again, Pete, getting disrespected.
What's the number?
Plus 6.5. This is disrespectful. They're going to Nebraska. I know Nebraska is playing better this year. We got Matt Rule, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Matt Rule there? So, but I'm sorry, Pete. We're sticking with the Bruins.
Really
we're sticking with them. They've covered every spread this year. They're not going to let us down. Traveling to, where does Nebraska play?
Nebraska plays in Lincoln.
In Lincoln. There you go, to the Corn State. The Cornhuskers. UCLA plus 6.5.
All right.
It's slam dunk. We got to ride them. Pete, we got to ride them. So those are the picks this week in college.
By the way, you're 2-0 so far with UCLA. Or is it 3-0?
I think it's 3-0. I think it's 3. It was Penn State. It was Oregon and one other one.
Rutgers.
I can't remember. And Rutgers. Yeah, 3-0. So how did we forget Rutgers? So to cover it, Louisville plus 10.5. Baylor, that's a shaky one, but minus 3.5.
Okay.
And UCLA plus 6.5
All
to
right.
round out a nice 3-0 weekend here in college football.
All right, on to the pros.
All right, on to the pros. I'm going to call this the comeback weekend in the NFL. Okay, Pete? We've talked about this before. When you're betting, NBA, always bet momentum, right? If you got a team on a win streak, ride them. NFL, it flip-flops. You get a team that's down, next week they're up. So let's ride that wave. Baltimore, embarrassed last week. You're going to lose to Cleveland, even though we did pick the over in points. But, Pete, that's embarrassing.
They're red hot, too.
They're red hot. Broncos are playing well. You know, Bo Nix, good dude, Oregon guy.
Good dude.
He goes to Baltimore.
Good.
Baltimore minus 9.5. Give me Baltimore minus 9.5.
Okay.
They're going to cover this game. They're going to win this going away. 14 points. They're going to. Derrick Henry is going to put the team on his back, score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they're going to cover the spread minus 9.5. Easy as a comeback win.
I like that.
You like that?
I do.
Okay. Now we got a lowly team, the Dallas Cowboys. We got to talk about the Cowboys. We're here in Texas. They're going to Atlanta to play. And I don't know who's going to win this game, Pete, but over 51.5 points seems low to me. The Cowboys aren't playing any defense. Cousins is playing well. We got Bijan. We got Algier.
Some might say the Cowboys can't score.
Well, but can Atlanta stop anybody? Have you watched any of Atlanta's games this year? Atlanta's secondary makes everybody look great. Okay, so Dak, and again, Dak is good for 2 garbage touchdowns. The only reason that didn't happen in Detroit is because Detroit just has a running game. They can shut you down with Montgomery and Gibbs. So the Cowboys just laid over in that one. But last week against the Niners, what did they do? They came all the way back and they scored points.
Did the same thing against Baltimore too.
Same thing against Baltimore. So the Cowboys at Falcons over 51. I know it's a lot of points, but over 51.
I like your garbage touchdown theory. Okay.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And Cousins is playing well. He is playing well. Dak will throw the ball. CeeDee Lamb will have 2 scores. It'll be fine. All right. You ready? This is the big dog.
Tickets are expensive, by the way, for the Falcons game.
Really? To go
163 for the lowest. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, we traveling there? Let's go. No. We'll go. Maybe Mosley is for the Doomsday podcast. All right, make your mortgage, Pete. We got to make sure you live somewhere. Remember, 2-team teaser. That's how we set this up. We're adding 4.5 points. That's why it's a tease. We get this at plus 100. So you get $100 in, you win 100. Or if your mortgage is $4,000, like it might be for Scotty here, our producer, then you cover your $4,000 mortgage. Seahawks, my team.
Los Angeles, they host the Rams.
What happened last week? Laid a huge egg against the Bills. Terrible game. Geno needs to be benched.
They got to go back to those old school uniforms. So if they suck, they still look good while they're sucking.
That's true. And I'll call Jody Allen, the owner of the team, and see if we can get that done. Seahawks are plus 1.5. This is also disgraceful against the Rams. Come on, what are we doing? So we're going to tease it. They get plus 6. We get the Seahawks plus 6 at home against the Rams. That's easy. Slam dunk right there.
Okay.
And then another team that's on, they're feeling low right now, Pete. They need a comeback. They changed their quarterback. They benched one of their high draft picks from last season and brought in an old dude. And I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Joe Flacco. They are traveling to Minnesota. And Pete, Indianapolis is plus 5.5. We're going to juice this to plus 10 with Flacco, who can complete. Like, they have a team. Pittman's good. Downs is good. Jonathan Taylor's back. It was just Richardson. He can't throw the ball.
No, he does. And Joe Flacco, if what he did last year in Cleveland is any indication, look out. There could be a run in this team.
They could. Flacco will keep this game close. I'm not calling it a win.
Okay.
But he will keep the game close. Plus 10 feels like too many points. It's too many points. The Colts can keep it close. So that's our mortgage. Seattle plus 6, Colts plus 10. Put it in. Don't worry about paying your mortgage this month.
Give me an NBA bet real quick.
Oh, you want an NBA
Just
bet?
give me one because we're running short on time.
Just one. Okay. Well, okay. So today is this. This is Friday, right? The episode comes up on Friday. So this is a one where you can check me on it. Pete, you put me on the spot. Last time, okay, can I say how we did last time?
Okay, go
we
ahead.
went. So I gave you 4 bets last week, right? Yeah. And you were going to check me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I checked myself. So we went 2-2, but the caveat, because there's always a caveat. The 2 we hit on, not even close. Didn't sweat it out. The 2 we missed on were like in the last minute. The spread.
Dude. Welcome to the NBA in October, bro.
But hey, it's fine. The Spurs, we had it at plus 8.5. They ended up losing by 11. It was 11. It was so close. And the other game, I can't remember. It was a point. It was Timberwolves. Somebody Sacramento. In Sacramento, we had Sacramento at plus 1. The Timberwolves come all the way back in the fourth quarter, end up winning that game by 2.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you entertained with the NBA right now?
Am I
entertained? A lot of threes, dude.
I know. I love that. You don't like the 3 ball?
I feel like some of the games are. I know it'll right itself.
Okay.
But right now, man, a lot of threes.
Okay. We got a night game tonight. This is Thursday. We're recording on Thursday. Phoenix Suns at the Clippers. Yeah. I watched the Clipper game. Okay, my Blazers played the Clippers. I did an analysis of this game. Not impressed with the Clippers. I am not impressed with the Clippers. We ended up winning. Like, we should not be beating the Clippers. The Blazers have no business beating the Clippers, and we beat the Clippers in LA. They're playing Phoenix tonight, -4.5. Phoenix, give me -4.5. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, like Bradley Beal, whatever. The Clippers, dude, they're about to free fall.
All in bets with Corey Dickman. That's it. We got a prediction. We're up against it right now. We got a prediction for NBA. We got college. We got NFL. I think we're good.
We're good.
We'll catch you next week.
Next week, all in bets, baby. I'll be back.
All right.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to turn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
But look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been, no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy to have you today.
Nah, thanks for having me. And you know we always family no matter where I'm at.
All is right with the basketball world. God's gift to the game of basketball, the Boston Celtics are back in the NBA Finals, baby. I don't think the Mavs did anything special. They played well enough to win and win pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought the Celtics didn't show up to play at all, and maybe if they showed some fight in the second half, they would have lost by 15 or so. Is he in the Red Sox Team Hall of Fame?
He is also in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Something about this guy being in the Team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did. So,
deserved it, man.
Which seems like it fit.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe more relaxed.
What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The person you referred to that I spoke with, I've spoken to some personnel people and general management of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that. Has the general manager changed at all in the draft room?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
We are Rogue Media Sports.